Indie studio Team Reptile was founded in 2011 and had set out on a 3.5-year journey to create a game that brought to life ideas the game's director had even prior to establishing the studio. And that game is... Rush Cyberfunk, a game heavily inspired by the Jet Set Radio game series. Rush Cyberfunk has players step out into the fictional city of New Amsterdam, painting it full of graffiti and challenging rival crews to prove who's the best. Having received generally positive reviews from critics for its gameplay and faithfulness to the Jet Set series, it's time that we explore New Amsterdam and dive right into this. The game begins with your character being contacted by a man breaking you out of your jail cell. Impressed by your skills and seeing that he could use your help, he agrees to let you join his crew. Once outside, you end up caught by a man known as DJ Cyber, one member of the group of the city's best graffiti artists known as the Big Three. Shortly thereafter, as you make your escape, unfortunately, he tosses one of his vinyl records in your direction, resulting in your character's head making an exit. You awaken once again, this time in the crew's hideout, and come to learn that you've been fitted with a new cybernetic head. The crew's leader goes on to explain that another member of the Big Three has been killed and was known as the only person to have went all city, a term referring to one who has successfully painted over and beat all crews across the 5 boroughs of New Amsterdam. His death has created a vacuum, resulting in all other crews competing to be all city. Having lost a sense of your prior identity, the crew's leader suggests that DJ Cyber must be in possession of your original head. With that, the Bomb Rush crew sets out to become all city and retrieve what was lost. I was a huge fan of Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future back in the early 2000s, as these were some of the earliest games I had bought for my Sega Dreamcast and Xbox respectively. It's obviously clear that Bomb Rush takes heavy inspiration from those titles, with Bomb Rush featuring striking, colorful, HD cel-shaded environments, as well as giving a clear nod to hip-hop and anti-establishment culture, with the themes present in the game. One of these themes is that of transhumanism. The setting of the game takes place during a time in which technology has advanced to the point to where organic biology and cybernetics have intersected, with implant technology being commonplace. This is observed with your own character having had his head swapped for another, as well as with the various crews in the game outfitted with their own desired tech. As comparisons to the prior Jet Set Radio games are to be expected, I think that the themes and gameplay elements covered in Bomb Rush do help to set it apart from those titles, and ultimately allows it to have its own identity, which, in my opinion, is necessary in order for it to stand on its own legs. One aspect that caught my attention was that the game's director himself had a background in skating and breakdancing prior to even making games, and in fact, performed the motion capture for the main character's dance moves. Additionally, Team Reptile held a graffiti battle competition with the broader community, which consisted of over 1,000 pieces created by more than 700 artists, which were then narrowed down to a few dozen winners, which ended up making it into the final game. With that said, if you were a fan of the Jet Set Radio games, I would say to expect that Bomb Rush will feel both familiar and different in style. In terms of the game's environments, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk takes place across 5 city boroughs, each with their own size and scope, layout, visual style, and crews which rule over them. The borough of Versum Hill is the home of the Franks and consists of an initial downward sloping street leading you into an open plaza area, and functions more as a simple environment meant to introduce the player to the game. Millennium Square is the turf of the all-female crew Eclipse, and introduces itself as the first larger, more complex location in the game you will explore, designed with more verticality and graffiti tags, which require use of your character's tricks to reach. Millennium Square is also connected to the .X crew-ruled Millennium Mall, a two-part location which further ramps up the complexity and verticality. Next up is Brink Terminal, also ran by the Eclipse crew. This is a huge multi-part area, initially opening with a large bus terminal highly reminiscent of the Shibuya terminal present in the prior Jet Set Radio games. It further breaks off into an oceanfront area with a canal and two towers, which are navigated only by using jumps and vertical grinds. Pyramid Island is the next area, reached only via ferry, and is ran by the Devil Theory crew. While its somewhat smaller surface area may appear more compact compared to the prior locations that project a more obvious volume, Pyramid Island is in fact incredibly complex in scale, featuring 3 floors and several tricky graffiti tags. In addition, it breaks off into a separate maze-like warehouse area in which you have to follow predefined routes to reach graffiti tags, else you'll find yourself running in circles and being sent back to the beginning. In my opinion, these elements make Pyramid Island the most complex location in the game to navigate. Lastly, you have the area of Matan, ruled by DJ Cyber's crew Futurism. Matan is the only location in which you'll find yourself grinding through the streets of its city nightlife, giving it a unique look which sets it apart from the rest. While it is a large sprawling location like the last few entries, its complexity is dialed back a bit compared to Pyramid Island. An aspect of the game's level design that I appreciated was that the environments are designed to be just complex enough to offer you variety and something to chew on. For example, figuring out how to reach an unusually placed graffiti tag or collectible, but not designed so overly complex to the point of causing frequent frustration. I think for the majority of the game, Team Reptile managed to strike this balance well. Before you head out into the world, you're given a clamshell designed flip phone, reminiscent of early Y2K form factors, to keep in touch with your crew. You'll be getting familiar with using this over the course of the game, as it can be used to answer texts, view and capture images, change the current music track, and lastly, to monitor your GPS location on the map live during gameplay. When it comes to the gameplay loop of Bomb Rush, it generally goes as follows. A story event occurs which advances the plot forward, requiring the Bomb Rush crew to head out to one of the city's boroughs. Once you've arrived, you must first increase your crew's reputation, or rep, by graffiti tagging over the rival crew's various tags throughout the area. Once your rep has been raised high enough to gain their attention, you're then able to challenge them to a crew battle for the borough. A challenge involving both crews competing for the highest trick score within a set time limit. Winning these battles brings your Bomb Rush crew one step closer to your goal of becoming All City. Depending on where you are in the story, the occasional boss fight may also raise its head. These boss fights are largely straightforward, simply requiring you to either engage in direct combat or to reach graffiti spots located on their person to subdue them. Following your victory, your character will fall into a sort of dream sequence. These dreams contain cool, trippy visuals and unusual level designs not found within the game's main environments that add to their novelty. Your objective here is to escape by navigating through the obstacles to paint a graffiti spot located at the end of the level. These series of events essentially make up the core gameplay loop of Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Aside from this core loop, the game features other content that you'll encounter along your journey. Each location contains one or more mini-games involving these high-five slapper characters, which must be hit in one continuous sequence in order to unlock a nearby robo-post containing a collectible item. These items tend to consist of new graffiti tags or music tracks, which are added to your cell phone, in addition to collectibles which also exist freely within the environments themselves, consisting of new cosmetics for your outfits and modes of transportation. Pacing-wise, Bomb Rush is really good at providing you with a sense of progressive discovery. Some games have a habit of unleashing all they have to offer during the first several hours of gameplay, and then leave you with nothing further to unravel. Bomb Rush takes the approach of supplying you with new content spread out over the course of the entire game, such that there's always a new level you haven't experienced yet, or a new music track you haven't heard of, or a graffiti tag spot you haven't had to reach in a certain way before. This design approach of drip feeding content helps the game to stay fresh over its 10 to 20 hour runtime. The way graffiti tagging works in this game is by applying a directional pattern, similar to an Android phone lock screen. Rather than the graffiti tag being predetermined, the pattern that you choose to input is directly linked to the graffiti tag itself. I thought this was a nice touch, as I feel it really captures the essence of graffiti by providing you, the player, the control to decide what is painted and where, rather than the game deciding for you. To be clear, it's not necessary to memorize any graffiti pattern for game progress sake, but rather it's an option available as you familiarize yourself with the graffiti art throughout the course of your playthrough. As you'll soon learn, some of these graffiti spots can be located in quite tricky to reach areas. However, fortunately, there are map items for each borough which can be picked up after beating the rival crew of that area, and these maps reveal the location of all remaining untagged graffiti spots in that borough. So, for the completionists out there, this is a huge help. As you continue to tag up a borough, eventually your activity will attract the attention of law enforcement, represented by a heat star rating on the HUD. Both engaging in combat with police and continuing to graffiti tag will increase the chances that the heat level will rise, and as the levels increase, so do the threats. A method to quickly drop the heat back to 0 is to step inside one of the bathroom stalls located in the area and change your character's outfit. It's important to remember though that the bathroom stall will remain locked after doing so, and can't be reused until you leave the area. So if the heat happens to rise again, you'll have to locate a different unused stall in the area. When it comes to tricks, these can be performed while grinding with the tap of one of 3 face buttons. Repeated use of the same button will result in a penalty to your score increase, so it's best to mix up your tricks for maximum gain. One trick to help keep your combo going is to perform a manual. Manuals will allow you to continue your combo streak even when not grinding, and are very useful when you need to keep your combo going while simultaneously traversing the environment to make it to the next grind spot before your manual bar hits 0. Aside from just tricks, you can also raise your score multiplier by mixing up your movement, such as by hitting billboards for wall rides or by leaning into corners as you approach them. Keep in mind though that these multipliers are one time only for the duration of your current combo, so you can't retrace the same route, for example, and abuse the same multiplier gains which you've already been rewarded for. This forces you to have to get familiar with the layout of the level to keep things fresh. Completing tricks helps to fill up your boost meter, a unique addition to Bomb Rush. Rather than having the option to temporarily sprint faster like in Jet Set Radio Future, each character in Bomb Rush is fitted with a boost pack, allowing you to continuously accelerate for the duration of your boost meter, as well as to maintain airtime in order to reach more distant locations. Additionally, your movement throughout the streets of New Amsterdam is expanded beyond just inline skates, with the inclusion of both BMX and skateboarding options, as well as the option to go on foot for more precise movement in tight spaces if needed. I really like this approach, as it factors into another design element of Bomb Rush that I appreciated, and that is how Team Reptile took this concept further and incorporated a gameplay purpose for each transportation option, so that as you're playing, you'll consider how they can be used to gain access to certain areas. Skateboards are used to extend the height of fire hydrants. BMX bikes are used to access locked garages. Manuals can be performed with inline skates in order to break floor glass. Your boost pack is used to break through glass windows. And lastly, while on foot, your character can perform a slide to slip into tight spaces, as well as to perform a slide on special floor panels to speed quickly through, or jump after performing a combat attack to gain even higher altitude than normal to grab ledges or clear high fences. While on your mission to become All City, you'll come across a variety of characters grinding their way around the boroughs which you can recruit to the Bomb Rush crew once you've satisfied their challenges. Within each borough, you'll notice checkerboard patterns on the ground at certain locations. If you perform a dance move at these spots, you'll summon your crew for a cipher, allowing you to switch characters without leaving the level, in case you need a different style of transportation, for example, to reach a special area. Further customizations, however, are only available at your crew's hideout. There, not only can you select different cosmetics for your character's outfits and style of transport, but you can also swap out the style of transport for your character. For example, your main character by default uses a skateboard. However, if you need a different style of transport but would still like to play using his character model, at the hideout, you can accomplish that. I really like that Team Reptile thought of this little touch. as in modern games today, it's not uncommon to encounter players who prefer to decouple cosmetics from gameplay function. Lastly, fast travel is achieved via select taxi service stops located in each borough. All you have to do is walk up, bust a move to hail a cab, and catch a ride to your chosen destination. In summary, I found Rush Cyberfunk to offer a sufficient variety of fun, enjoyable gameplay content to hold my attention. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the game's soundtrack. Featuring over 30 tracks spanning a variety of genres, including funk, dance, and hip-hop, I can say that the music selection here is very good, and definitely captures the vibe and feel of the game. You have your upbeat tracks like Big City Life and Watch Your Back to energize you.
Yeah, who got them moves, got them vibes, we got the strategy, do it all night.
Yo, you better watch your back. Yo, watch your back. Yo, you better watch your back.
Tracks like Refuse and Last Hurrah to soothe and mellow you out. While others such as Hair Done, Nails Done and I Wanna Know will capture you in their groove, further punctuating the rhythm of gameplay.
What's your name?
Not only do you have the option to manually change the current track being played via your character's cell phone, but when left on autoplay, as each song is ending, the music will mix into the next track seamlessly, providing you with a continuous playlist with no odd pauses of silence. With the background in dance, the game director in fact personally picked the majority of the game's music himself. Furthermore, Team Reptile actually managed to get a few tracks produced for Bomb Rush from Hideki Naganuma, the Japanese lead composer who scored the soundtracks for the Jet Set Radio games. I thought this was an awesome inclusion and homage to the series which inspired the creation of this game. While my opinion of Bomb Rush is highly positive for the most part, I do think the game has a few issues, starting with its use of its soundtrack during scripted scenes throughout the game. A variety of cutscenes will take place throughout the game, such as when you enter a new area or during specific plot events. The issue here is that at times the music set to the scripted cutscene will itself be scripted, while at other times it's not. The latter leads to situations where the current track in the playlist continues to play even as the scripted cutscene begins, regardless of whether that track actually aligns with the tone or mood of the scene. Another issue is that the fixed camera can be frustrating at times, especially during more tricky or complex grinding segments, as it doesn't always allow you the greatest visibility to see what's coming up next, or to accurately gauge your character's position. This led to situations where I would either mistime a jump and fall off of the rail, or time the jump correctly, but then couldn't tell exactly if I was under or overshooting the next target due to the camera, resulting in me starting over and readjusting on subsequent attempts. Furthermore, the trick system in the game is not very robust. While its simplicity does allow for more straightforward gameplay, there's not any real technique present to performing them, aside from essentially button mashing the tricks in rotation to prevent stale tricks. Perhaps in a sequel, the devs could add in an element of timing or directionality to flesh this out more. Combat is largely unsatisfying and is certainly not the game's strongest point. Although I can understand the need to have some manner for the character to contend against the police in the game, other than just escaping. Your character's attacks feel weak and repetitive, plus there's no option to lock onto your opponents to focus your attacks. I'm not expecting anything full-fledged here, as that's obviously not the main purpose of this game, but whenever combat segments popped up, it felt like an interruption to other gameplay that was actually fun. Fortunately, these combat segments are few and far between, and can be finished rather quickly if you know what you're doing. Lastly, I have to talk about the issue with the police heat system in the game. As mentioned earlier in this video, the chance for the heat level to rise increases as you continue to graffiti tag. The issue here is that once you achieve a 1-star rating and police show up, approximately every 1 to 3 additional graffiti tags you paint results in the heat rising an additional level. This leads to an extremely rapid escalation of heat, which, while in the first several hours of the game doesn't really reveal itself, in the mid to late game starts to become quite annoying. At 2 stars, select turrets in the area are activated, which fire absurdly long-reaching chains in your direction, with the intent to interfere with the speed and mobility of your character. Should you decide to shut these down by attacking and tagging them, this will just result in you achieving a 3-star rating, in which police in riot gear appear on the scene. At 4 stars, there are snipers, at 5 stars, attack helicopters swoop in, and at 6 stars, a giant tank walker is sent to eliminate you. The only method to reduce heat is to locate a bathroom stall in the area and change your character's outfit to get the police off of your scent. However, this is only temporary as the heat will reoccur, and when that happens, you can't reuse the same bathroom stall to reduce it. Instead, you must locate a different unused one in the area. The only way to reset the bathroom stalls is either for your character to die or for you to exit and re-enter the area, both of which are undesirable and inconvenient options. Ultimately, I didn't dislike the concept of the heat system. However, I did find its methods to de-escalate counterintuitive and somewhat inflexible, as well as the escalation threshold way too easy to exceed too quickly. After the credits roll, you're free to continue exploring the boroughs to pick up any missed collectibles, graffiti tags, and to even complete additional challenges to recruit new characters to the Bomb Rush crew. As opposed to the main game's rival crew challenges, which largely can be beat without breaking a sweat, some of these bonus characters will post challenges with required high scores in the several millions. So unless you're an expert at determining a solid trick route and racking up high multipliers without breaking your combo, you may find these to easily be the toughest challenges you've faced thus far. In summary, if you're into this style of game, especially if you're a fan of the Jet Set series, I would definitely recommend you get your hands on Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. While it's not Jet Set Radio 3, it does manage to distinguish itself as its own game despite the heavy inspirations which it draws from. Personally, I found the experience to be a refreshing blast from the past. This is a feel-good type of game, one that you can look forward to sitting back with after a long day and just jamming out, completing straightforward objectives. While it does have a few shortcomings, its overall gameplay experience is solid and manages to pull ahead of them, and for that, it earns my recommendation. Fortunately for fans, the devs over at Team Reptile have stated on their website that they're committed to creating more of these types of games, so I'm looking forward to their next announcement. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comment section what your thoughts were on Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Till next time.